your list?
Just the idea of the scenery. You see so many images coming across on your Facebook feed or whatever, and you just think that you would like to go there because wildlife is a big thing, the whole environment compared to where we live and where we're used to generally traveling. So it's kind of, when you say a bucket list, then sometimes you get those places that you've got to do a bit more to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that you've cruised, will you cruise again?
Yeah, sure. We were just talking about that, maybe Mediterranean. We maybe spend 4 or 5 days sort of around Rome or something, and then do a cruise around the Greek islands or south of France. There's do a river cruise through.
Oh, those are amazing.
Europe. Yeah, no, that's what I hear.
Yeah, that's another one of those where the scenery is just awe-inspiring. Not quite the same as Alaska, but different and just as overwhelming sometimes, and just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I would highly recommend that.
Yeah, well, we've been in Berlin a couple of times. We've got German friends there. They come out and stay with us here, and again, randomly met them at a surf lifesaving club for a lunch. We just happened to walk in. They waved their hand. Never met them before in our lives. Sat down and shared their table because the place was packed, and that was 15 years ago. And we've stayed friends ever since. We go there and they come here, and so we've been on their boat in Berlin and spent days out on the lakes and that, and it's great experience there. Like, so much history. Pretty cool.
So cool. So cool. So if you could name 1 or 2 things that were the most outstanding on this last trip, what would they be?
I think the scenery from Alaska was amazing. And I think the people in Alaska, from a tourist point of view, were very good. It was a good, slick operation with very considerate people. I think the staff on the ship were wonderful. The people that were our little home base, as Kev calls it, we made some good friends with some of the people. Then we got excellent service.
Right.
Excuse me. And I think, we've been to Vancouver before in the States. We ended up in LA for 3 or 4 days. We were coming back on staff travel, which we kept getting bumped off for a couple of days until we eventually got a flight back to Australia. And I think the other highlight was Japan, just the people there as well. So we're planning in the next year or 2 to probably go back and spend a few weeks there as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So what about the food? Are you guys big foodies or no?
Yeah, we are. Definitely. I thought the food was good. We did sign up for most of the premier dining package, and those restaurants were high standard. So we're probably a little picky. Where we actually live here, you can walk 100 metres, 200 metres up the road, and there's a street with about 70 restaurants in it. So of every sort. So we walk up the road, we probably eat out 3 or 4 days a week. So you've got a lot of diversity, and it's very competitive. So they have to be on their game. And I thought the restaurants on the ship, the premier one particularly, were really good standard. Food was great.
Yeah. I know. The guys that I were with loved the Brazilian steakhouse. That was a big deal for them.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of meat's relatively high quality and cheap here. So we would probably found the French was.
I was going to say that was my favorite.
Yeah, very good. And Cagney's, I think, was it Cagney's? Not sure. There was another steakhouse that having said what I said. One of those nights we probably had. It was sensational. We maybe had one of the top 5 steaks ever. It was that good, and I was really, really surprised. Just there's 2 or 3 super high-end steak restaurants on the coast here, and they were as good as that easily. It was pretty impressive.
Nice. See, that's where we're suffering here in Panama, I must admit. The Panamanian beef is not aged. It's very organic, but it tends to be a little tough because it's not aged like they do it in most other places to create great steaks. And so we were, my husband specifically was looking forward to meat coming from Texas, which is a huge beef state. And then getting to Panama where he's deprived, that's all he could think about was how much meat he could eat. And we had to have Wagyu beef in Japan. That was the big thing for him. And then he ate steak as much as he could on the ship. So he was set.
Had to get his fill in before he went home to the.
Yeah,
it's a bit
totally.
like Asia as well. Like, we spend months in Thailand. The two things that you miss the most, the steaks. I mean, there is imported Australian, New Zealand beef. It's pretty expensive, and then the wine, there's so much tax on it. We're used to an abundance of choice at very reasonable prices in wine. So yeah, everything has its pros and cons. So I hope Mitchell had his fill of really good meat while he was on board.
Yeah, he had some really good meat. You're going to have to send me a list of your favorite Australian wines so that I can see if I can get them. I would love to dip into some of those options, because we get a lot of the Argentinians and the Chile, and
wine,
of course California.
Well, so, if we're in Asia, we'll probably buy Chilean and Argentinian wine. I'm not sure what the dynamic is for the price. They're probably the better pick. The Australian wines are wildly overpriced in Asia. I'm not sure what that dynamic is, whether it's a tax thing. But you got to broaden your horizons. You can go to Spain and buy a $7 wine, and you get blown away how good it is for the price. True.
I know. I have found some really good $8 and $9 French wines here.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. So tell me, what else, is there anything on this last trip that you took that you feel that people should know about if they're considering maybe doing this trip, or are excited about any of these destinations as a bucket list? What is it that you feel that they should know? Or even maybe cruising, since you had not done a major cruise before, because there's some non-cruisers out there too.
Probably the thing that the term transpositioning of the ship from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, there was quite a lot of sea time. It wasn't a big deal because socially, the life on the ship was pretty great. But there was quite a few days of ploughing through the seas. Not that the ship was, I didn't feel any of it really. Apparently some people did, but I think that aspect, we might next time would go somewhere and probably do a 7 or 10 day cruise in that region, where the stops are probably more relative to, and they're more regular.
Right.
Having said that, the Alaskan trip and that ship that I was told by the staff was doing a 7-day trip. They go back and forwards and back and forwards. Well, Edwin would know that. So that's kind of where I think I'd do it in future.
And see, when we do it next year, we're doing 9 days, and there's a couple of extra stops, I think, that we didn't get to see this time. But Mitchell likes the days at sea because he said those are the days when you actually just get to sit and relax on the ship, and you get to meet people, and kind of do nothing if that's what you choose to do. And I didn't feel at first, when I saw the number of days that we were going to be at sea, I was a little afraid of the downtime for me, because I don't do nothing very well. But it turned out okay, because I slept so much. That was the best sleep I'd ever had in my life, I think.
Wow, that's really great. We just found the time difference a little bit irksome for us, but it went away. I mean, you get into that time zone and that routine, and I did pay up for the constant internet.
Right.
In this day and age with internet prices, it was pretty exy, but because I've got lots of things going on in business interests, it was part of the agreement that I'd still have to probably log on once a day. And that was okay. That worked out. And I get what Mitchell's saying. I mean, I just enjoyed the social element tremendously.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, and they give you lots of activities. So what's next on your bucket list?
Kerry and I were talking about that, and it's probably the big trip next might be South Africa, which is we'll probably fly to Perth on the other side of the country, and then Perth to Johannesburg's maybe about 11 hours. Fly into there and do a tour around there, probably 10 days, 12 days, something like that.
Right.
And there's a couple of other parts there. There's some people we know have a property there. I'm not sure what the area is, so we might go and stay there for a little while as well. But that's it's not so much super expensive, but it's relatively expensive. So you've got to plan that properly.
Yeah.
So probably next year we're thinking.
Yeah, we actually had put a trip together. We were having it was a private tour for just our agency for just 12 people that we were going to put together. And we didn't initially we got a lot of activity about it. And then some things started going on. So people started getting a little nervous. So we said, okay, we'll just put it off another year. But South Africa is definitely on our list as well. We want to get there. A lot of South Africans here in Panama.
Yeah, look, they're everywhere actually. It's
they're
they do. Well, the dynamics and the history of the place. It's like, we've got a lot of Sri Lankan friends that came out 30, 40 years ago when the country nationalised, and there's always a bit of a diaspora of people depending on the domestic political situation. But South Africans have been pouring out of the country for a long time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, I'm so glad you're one of my newest friends. I enjoyed you and Kerry and Kev and Karen so much. We had so much fun with you guys, and I hope that we can continue our relationship. And we get to come see you, and then maybe you didn't say Panama was on your list, but I hope one day you can come see us.
I haven't been to South America. I mean, we travelled a lot, but there's so much to see. So
I know it.
I'm reading the bottom of my list here, and here we are, Panama, South America. So, you being there, we can get some guidance on that. There's a lot of the history, some of the places that again are quite iconic. You've got to get a bit fit and make sure, the walks and whatever, but the Incas and Aztecs, I think that's definitely on the list in the next couple of years. We'll plan something so we're probably going to have to spend 3 weeks to make sure we get around a bit and not just do a very small spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's very good. Well, thank you so much for getting up early and spending some time with me today. I know you've got to get off and get to the office, but I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
It's my pleasure, Karen, and we're just so pleased we bumped into you guys on that trip. So I will head off, and I wish you guys well, and no doubt we'll stay in touch and we'll make some plans and time to catch up again.
That sounds like a plan. Thanks, Grant. This is Karen Duncan. I will. This is Karen Duncan, your bucket list buster. I'll be back in a minute. Well, folks, the Wireless Traveler Telecom Thursday tips. It's Father's Day. Are you ready? Father's Day gifts that he will love. The Wireless Traveler Moon Chargers, the world's smallest, thinnest wireless phone charger. Perfect for travelers, fits in your pocket or bag. Set the standard this summer with the most fashionable, fastest wireless charger. This fast charging portable moon charger selects 6 classic colors in leather or fabric, waterproof for all the summer fun, and it's only $49.99. Also, orbit finders, never lose your keys. We know how it gets when dad's getting a little older and he can't locate those keys. Or if there's a bag or a phone that's always missing, the Bluetooth orbit finders in 12 vibrant colors pair with the free Orbit Phone app, only $29.99. Or the wallet finder. Now that's important, especially if you're on a trip with dad and he's paying for everything. World's thinnest Bluetooth tracker, size of a credit card to fit in your wallet. Use selfie button to snap pictures from your phone. Only $39.99. Glasses finder. Find your glasses with your phone.